Advice and opinions expressed during the program are solely that of Jung Garden Center, not WBEV 95X or Good Karma Brands. And we welcome to not only 1430 WBEV, but also the live video stream on dailydodge.com. Dick Zondag of Jung Garden Center. Good morning, sir.
Good morning, John. How are you?
I'm doing very well. We got this cooler weather after a warm start to get things growing. Is that good or bad, or is it just the normal course of a typical Wisconsin spring?
I think it's a typical Wisconsin spring. You know, we did have that early heat spell that got everybody excited about gardening, but now the reality has hit, and actually it's getting kind of normal. Mm-hmm. The weather, the way it is, the grass is starting to turn green, and so I brought again the grass products along because it's really time to get stuff going. We have a great amount of things in the garden center. The bare root room is open. We've got a good supply of grass seed and fertilizer. I brought along the Crabgrass Preventer this week because forsythia is blooming, so it's time to get that Crabgrass Preventer on. You know, crabgrass is a plant that comes from seed every year, and so the Crabgrass Preventer is a seed germination inhibitor, and so by putting this on, you get about 6 weeks of effectiveness with keeping the crabgrass from growing while your bluegrass is establishing. We also think fertilizing the lawn now is a great thing to do because if you've got a thick lawn, that crabgrass can't germinate. And then in about 2 or 3 weeks, when the dandelions start to come, there's either the weed and feed like the Fairview Greenview that we have here, or you can get Weed Beater Ultra, which is also very good for keeping the broadleaf weeds down, the dandelions, the creeping Charlie, and that sort of stuff. One thing I did want to bring along today, because we are starting to get our social media up and running, and so we have a contest running on Instagram, and it's Instagram only, and it runs from sorry, I have to read this. It runs from April 13th to April 19th for Jung Garden Center. The name of the promotion is Let's Start a Season with a Beautiful Lawn. It's on Instagram, and it's only on Instagram. So we're giving away a full season program of Greenview Fair formulas of four-step lawn fertilizer. So you get the early spring, the late spring, the fall, and the winterizer, along with a spreader, which is a very nice spreader. It's a $300 value, so it's not just a little giveaway. So, but it's only available on Instagram, so you have to sign on to the Instagram, and our Instagram thing is at Jung Garden Centers. So that's the way that you get to that. And then you register, and then we'll have the drawing on the 19th. Okay. It's at Jung Garden Center with no S, at Jung Garden Center. April 22nd, we're also doing an Earth Day giveaway. We're giving away free garden tree seedlings to the first 100 customers that come into the Jung Garden Center, and it's at all 5 locations. And on 22nd, another thing for Earth Day, we have a website giveaway. We're giving away free super giant zinnia seed mix with orders that come in over $50. So those are some of the promotions that we're doing, and that's on April 22nd only. So trying to do some giveaways to increase our sales and to give our customers something extra to go along with. The other thing, potatoes, strawberries, raspberries, trees and shrubs, bare root, we still have those available, and we're starting to get our container nursery set up. We're not quite ready yet, but the container nursery will be open in another week or so. And the middle of April, we are going to, which we're almost at, we're going to have the green plants starting to come out of the greenhouse, and the bedding plants will be available probably the last week in April, along with the tomato and pepper plants and the other garden things that you want.
By the way, 885-4446 is the number to call, 1-920-885-4446 if you'd like to get on the air with the Garden Doctor, Dick Zondag of Jung Garden Center in Randolph. Dick, you mentioned fertilizer. What are the different types of fertilizer, or is it pretty much the same? It's just a case of when to use it, or how is that?
No, it's the fertilizer that you use is meant for specific purposes.
Okay.
Like the lawn fertilizers here have a lot of nitrogen in because you want to force a lot of vegetative growth. You want the grass to grow. You put this same fertilizer in your garden, you'll have the most beautiful, lush garden, but the fruit won't be there. You know, the nitrogen, that first number has to be in relation to the other numbers, about the same or less when you're putting it on a garden or a perennial bed. So there are different fertilizers for different things. So the nitrogen, the phosphorus, and the potassium. Now the lawn fertilizer has no phosphorus in it because phosphorus is the thing that leaches out and causes algae blooms in the lakes. And so the lawn fertilizers that we sell have no phosphorus in them, so it keeps the lakes cleaner.
We do have some callers. Let's check in. You are on the air with Dick Zondag from Jung Garden Center.
Yes, hello.
Good morning.
Yes. I would like to know what I am doing wrong. I plant morning glories every year, and they get all leaves, but I never get no flowers.
Okay, I think it has to do with that same fertilizer situation. You know, the morning glories, you should soak the seeds before you plant them because that gets them started germinating, because they do have a hard seed coat. But don't fertilize them, because if you over-fertilize, you get all green growth and no flowers.
Okay.
And if you've got you're using the same area, what I would do is work some raw organic matter into like grass clippings or straw, something that the microorganisms in the soil will tie up some of the nitrogen so that the plant will grow naturally and produce those flowers.
Oh, okay. Well, I will try that then.
Okay, thank you for calling.
Thank you.
Thank you for your call. 885-4446, the number to get on the air with the Garden Doctor. Good morning. You're on the air with Dick Zondag.
Hi, good morning. I was just wondering, what kind of perennials can you plant out at the cemetery? I have my mom and dad stone, and then my little brother's stone,
Right.
and there's maybe like a 12-inch space in between.
Okay,
What kind of a flower would work that it would come up every year all by itself? I know it's a perennial, but
right.
that would maybe bloom a little bit more than maybe once a year.
Yeah, the problem with perennials is they do have one season of bloom, and you either get spring, summer, or fall flowering. So if you want just a nice little ground cover, something that blossoms in spring, some of the ground cover sedums would look very nice. And there are some leaf variants, so that if you're looking for something that gives a little extra color, there's a variegated sedum that we sell that has white and green leaves that blossoms in late spring, early summer, but then after it blossoms, it has a different colored leaf.
Yeah, because
maybe,
we lost our mother last June, and she had 9 flower gardens, and she just loved flowers, and I still want to make sure she has flowers.
Right. The only thing that really flowers all summer long are annuals, and they have to be planted every year because they try to go from seed to seed in one season. A summer flowering perennial might be like a coneflower. A fall blossom would be like asters, the perennial asters, or even the chrysanthemums. But there are very few perennials that blossom all summer long.
Yeah.
So do
you think maybe what I should do is maybe mix some annuals in there, until the perennials decide to bloom?
Yeah, that would be a good thing to do too. To put if you want summer flowering, you'd put the annuals in like a geranium or a petunia. Maybe some of the ground cover petunias would work very well.
Because I thought if I put them in the ground, it would get the moisture out of the soil that I don't have to come back.
Right.
Every week or whatever, to water it.
Right. Most annuals, if they're planted and established, will do well just with the rain that comes. And perennials too. I mean, perennials are not heavy water requirements, and so the sedums especially are very drought tolerant. So maybe you want to plant a ground cover sedum that blossoms in late spring or early summer, and then maybe a couple of annuals in between the sedums to give you summer flowers.
Well, that sounds like a good idea. Thank you very much.
And thank you for calling.
Thank you very much for your call. You're listening to The Garden Doctor on AM 1430 WBEV. As we go to the lines, 885-4446, the number to call. Let's go back to the phones. Good morning. You're on the air.
Hello. I want to move some tulips, and I was wondering if I could dig them up right after they bloom and kind of store them till fall and replant them, or if I should wait till fall and dig them up.
The best thing to do is to wait until the leaves die down, because when tulip blossoms, it uses up most of the carbohydrates that are in the bulb, and so it needs those leaves to stay on until they detach from the bulb, and they do that naturally. They turn brown. If the leaves hold on to the bulb, just leave them for a little bit longer. They detach from the bulb, and then you can move them anytime from there until it freezes. So I would say that would probably be mid to late June, anytime from then until fall. And the reason that we get tulips in the fall is that they have to be harvested in the Netherlands, and then they have to remove the roots and to make sure that they're not bringing diseases in, and then they send them to us, and we receive them in around Labor Day, and that's when we start sending tulips out, and that's when they should be replanted.
Okay, thank you.
All right, thank you for your call. Let's go to the other line. You're on the air with the Garden Doctor.
Yes, I'd like to know how to cut a bridal wreath down and how far can you cut it down. It's a very, very large plant.
Okay. I think if I were doing it, I would wait until after they bloom, because bridal wreath are really pretty in the springtime. And if it's a very old plant, what I would do is after it's done blossoming, go in with a pruner or with a hacksaw or whatever you have, and cut about half of the old thick stems out. And what you'll find is that it will resprout new branches. And then the next spring, after the flowers are done, cut the rest of them off, and you'll have a new shrub.
Okay, thank you very much.
Yep, thanks for calling.
Thank you for your call, 885-4446. As we go back to the other line, good morning, you're on the air with the Garden Doctor.
Yes, I'm wondering what should I use on iris plants and raspberry plants to get rid of the grass in the garden?
Okay, there is a chemical grass, it's called grass beater, and I think what is the active ingredient? It has an ingredient in that kills grasses and not the perennials. And so we have that in the garden center, and it works fairly well. You may have to make a couple of applications, but it'll kill the grass and not the perennial.
So it's grass beater.
Grass beater, it's called. I think it's a fertilome product.
Who is it made by?
I think it's Bonide or Fertilome. Those are the two major chemical companies that we deal with.
All right.
Okay.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you for your call.
Yeah, the name of the chemical is Post.
Okay.
Post. It's used by farmers for grasses also. So
Post grass beater by
Bonide. It's called grass beater.
Yep.
Okay, they'll know right where it is. So if you go into any of our 5 garden centers, they will be able to direct you right to it.
All right, appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you very much for your call. You are on the air with Dick Zondag from Jung Garden Center. Caller.
I would like to know how to work with peonies. They're kind of diminishing, and when do we replant and when do we divide?
Okay, the best time for peonies is in the fall. You can do it now. If you're going to try and do it now, what I would do is wait until Well, the peonies haven't really started to grow much yet. What you could do is take a sharp shovel and go right down in the middle of the clump and dig half of it out and leave half of it there, and then fertilize it. Take the half that you take out of the ground and you can replant that somewhere else. Either that or you wait until probably the end of September to the middle of October. After the leaves have started to go downhill, you can dig the plant, and you could actually do just exactly the same thing. Dig half of the clump out and leave half of the clump, or you can dig the whole clump at that time and divide it so that you have 3 to 5 eyes on each of the pieces that you plant back. And peonies like to be planted with the eyes about an inch below the ground.
Okay, the caller hung up, but she's, I'm sure, listening to what you have to say there, Dick. Want to remind folks that you can go to Daily Dodge and see the live video stream of this program, The Garden Doctor. 885-4446, the number to call. And let's go to our next caller. Good morning, you're on the air.
Yes. I was wondering if gladiolas are a flower of the past?
No, they're not a thing of the past. We actually had some gladiolus left last year, and we planted a couple of rows right next to my house, and can't believe the number of people that stopped to look at them or stopped to pick a few. And I took some to the nursing home and put some in church, and no, glads are not a thing of the past. They are.
Well, you just haven't seen them around much at all anymore. Anybody talking about them? Or?
No, we sell a lot of glads.
You do?
And they do well.
I had a godfather uncle that would, what would you call it, cross.
Oh, would breed them, huh?
Bulbs and make new flowers.
Mm-hmm.
He did it for years. He was awesome.
Yeah.
The most beautiful, different flowers.
Right.
And he had upper connections with somebody. And I don't know if he ever got one named under his name or not. But.
Yeah. Well, I don't know either, but we used to grow 20 acres of glads. We've stopped doing that because the equipment that you need, our equipment got old, and we depend on people that just do glads now for our glad bulbs. But, with glads, what you do with them is in the fall, after the tops have started to look a little ratty, you dig the bulbs up and you cut the top of the leaves off right above the bulb. And then you leave the bulb on your picnic table or on your driveway for a week to 10 days so that it heals over. And then you store glads in an onion mesh bag so that you have good air circulation around it. And then you can plant them the next year. And if you get a big glad bulb, you can actually cut it in quarters because the glad is a piece of stem tissue and it will sprout new sprouts, and you can multiply your glads that way.
Well, I don't have much area to plant any, but I sure would love to see them again.
No, they are a beautiful flower. Unfortunately, this year I'm not going to have that row of glads because we're just about sold out of glads. But no, glads are not a thing of the past. People plant them.
Good.
And they have so many different colors. And the thing that I found with glads is you can put the most unusual flower colors together and they don't clash. They just complement each other. So
yes. And so are you gonna? What time of the year do you get the bulbs in?
The bulbs come in mid-February. They come in on refrigerated trucks so that we keep them from freezing.
Right.
And then we store them in our glad. We have a cellar below ground that we store them in, and we package them, and a lot of people enjoy glads that they get from Jung's.
Glad to hear that. No pun intended.
Yep.
And thank you very much for your call.
Yeah.
That one was caught ready for that one.
Yeah.
I was YouTubing here and looking at gladiolas. They are a beautiful, beautiful flower.
And they last long as cut flowers. That's one of the reasons that they do well, because you can take a bouquet of glads to the nursing home, and the flowers start fading from the bottom. But if you keep the bottom ones off and the top ones open up, they'll last for 10 days to 2 weeks if you take care of them properly.
Beautiful stuff.
Yeah.
All right, let's go to the other line, 885-4446, to get on the air with Dig Zondag. You'll be glad you did. Let's go to the phones. You're on the air.
Good morning. I have, out in my landscaping, I have the perennials with tulips and daffodil bulbs, and I have a terrible quack problem and dandelion problem in there. What is the best thing to do with that?
Yeah. Well, we talked a little earlier about the grass beater for the grass. Yeah, that's a real difficult situation because perennials are basically the same type of plant as dandelions. One thing you could try is the most popular herbicide is Roundup, but it kills everything it touches. And so what you'd have to do is take a paintbrush and mix up a batch of Roundup and just paint it on the leaves of the dandelions, or they actually would be take out the grass too. I mean, it's a non-selective herbicide, and I've used it by putting a rubber glove on, something that's that doesn't let moisture through, and then a cotton glove on top of it, and then dipping my hand in the Roundup, and then just pulling the grass through my hand, and that's enough to take the grass out. But if you use Roundup very selectively and very carefully, it does not move in the soil, but it does kill everything it touches, so you got to be very careful that you don't touch your perennials with it either.
What about the tulip and daffodil? That's a bulb, but it would kill that too because it's...
Yeah, it will kill them too, yep.
Okay.
If you get it on the green leaves. Now, if the leaves aren't there, if the leaves have died back and they have come off the plant, then it would not hurt them at all.
If you do it like in the next couple weeks, would that be a good time before they really get established again?
No, because most of the tulips and daffodils have leaves above ground, and if you touch
but for the quack and the...
right now is a good time when they're growing rapidly. That's a good time to take them out.
Even if you got a bigger, wider paintbrush and you kind of cover the bulbs, that would be a good way instead of spraying it because you'd have more control with the brush.
Yeah, you just have to be careful that you don't touch those plants, because Roundup, if you get any amount of it on those leaves, it will kill the bulbs. So, be very careful. But if you take a paintbrush and just run it over the plants, or even a paint roller.
Cover them with a 5-gallon pail, or
that would work too. Because as soon as it's dried, it's not going to move because it doesn't volatilize it. It's a pretty safe herbicide to use if you're careful with it.
Our neighbor lady said put some Dawn soap with it because that makes it sticky.
Dawn soap is a sticker. Yeah, that would help also.
Okay, and then what about 2,4-D? Somebody's like, just the smell of 2,4-D will kill your plants.
Yeah, the 2,4-D would take the perennials out too.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, well, that's my next project to get going to make that look good for the summer.
But most of the Roundup preparations have a sticker in them, so you don't have to put Dawn in with them.
Okay. Okay, we'll try that. Goodbye.
Thank you.
Thank you for your call. And let's go to the other line. You're on the air with Dig Zondag from Jung Garden Center.
Good morning. I came into your Randolph store last year looking for that post because you had advertised it the year before,
right,
and your people couldn't help me find it.
It's the active chemical in grass beater. So
called
ask for grass beater,
so I need to ask for
they'll know right where that is.
It's called grass beater?
Grass beater, B-E-A-T-E-R.
Oh, beater. Okay,
yeah,
okay, because they didn't know what post was. So grass beater you want to ask for.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, because you go in for ask for post, they don't know what it is.
No,
so.
they wouldn't. That's the active ingredient in grass beater.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Yep.
All right, thank you for your call. We have time for at least one more caller. Good morning, you're on the air.
Morning. I got some Black Hill spruce trees, and about 8 of them, and one of them's dying, and it's about 25 feet high. Can I do anything to help that along?
Boy, there have been diseases that have started taking some of the spruce out. No, there's really nothing you can do. I mean, if it's that high, you'd have to be able to spray that high. Boy, I really don't have a good solution for that. I guess one of the things you could do to keep the tree healthy, though, is to fertilize around the drip line of the tree so that the tree has plenty of nutrients to ward off those diseases. What I've found is that plants that are healthy, that are growing and have an adequate amount of fertility, usually can outlast the diseases. So a good fertilization around the drip line of the tree where the roots are is about the only thing that you can do to try to bring that tree out of that.
Okay, well, you have some there, June, or we're at Young's. Do you have some there?
Yes, yeah.
Okay.
Just a regular garden fertilizer would work, or
Like
tree
10,
spikes.
10, 10?
You know, tree spikes work too.
Tree spikes? Okay.
Yeah, you drive them in, I think, every 2 or 3 feet around the drip line of the tree, and that would help.
Okay, well, thank you.
Thank you for calling.
Yep.
Thank you for your call. And we'll go to the other line. This will be the last call. We've got about 1 minute left to go. Go ahead. You're on the air.
Yes, good morning. I was wondering, can you use that grass feeder on asparagus?
I think what you got to do is read the label, because it will tell you on the label things that you should not spray it with. I don't think it would hurt the asparagus, but read the label. I don't have one of those containers with me to read it, but chemicals have to have the information about what you can use it on and what you don't use it on. So you can go into the store and pick up a bottle and open up the little book that's on each bottle, and it will tell you whether you can use it on asparagus. And that's true of any pesticide. The uses of the pesticide are labeled on the container, and you are not allowed to use pesticides other than the labeled rate and the label instructions. So,
Yeah. Okay.
yeah, I guess I would read it, and I'll try to remember to look at it this week, and maybe I'll have it on next week, okay?
Okay, thank you very much.
Yep, thanks
All
for
right.
calling.
And thanks for everyone who called. Again, Dick, what's happening at the store?
Well, I wanted to mention again this this contest that we have on Instagram. It's called Let's Start the Season with a Beautiful Lawn. You have to go to @Jung Garden Center and register there, and the drawing will be on April 19th. So it's there to, and it's a very good giveaway too, because you get 4 bags of Greenview, and Greenview is one of the better lawn fertilizers that you can use. You get 4 bags of Greenview fertilizer and a spreader. And a spreader's worth about $50-$60 too. So the giveaway is worth about $300. So we're encouraging people to go to Instagram and to do that. Of course, we've got all sorts of things going on at the store. We've got good supplies of everything. Store hours are 8 to 6 Monday through Friday, and 8 to 5 on Saturday. Of course, in Randolph, we're not open. In the other stores, it's 8 to 6:30 Monday through Saturday, and 10 to 3 on Sunday.
Great informative show as always, Dick, and we will see you next week.
And thank you, John.
All right, and that is the Jung Garden Center program, a paid program. The preceding was a paid program. Advice and opinions expressed during the program are solely that of Jung Garden Center, not WBEV, 95X, or Good Karma Brands.